Sarah here with Brown Family Goods, and today we have some yard cleanup to do. These rose bushes need some attention for sure. Now what I really would like to be doing is putting in my fall garden, but instead I'm gonna do the not so fun work first and take care of all of this, and then I can go have fun in the back and put the garden in another day. So we got to do this first and then we can have a little bit of fun, right? These rose bushes I like to cut back a couple of times a year, once around Labor Day and once around Valentine's Day. That's how I like to remember it. And they definitely need a cutback at this point. They are looking wild and a little unruly here. So they need some attention, and we need to take about a third of the growth off of them so that they can have one final flush before the end of the year this year. Now, this is one of my favorite things up here in the front of the house. It's right in the driveway area where everybody pulls in and enters the home. So it's really important to me to take good care of these rose bushes. So today, let's do a little bit of work on them, clean them up nicely. That way they can have a little final flush before the end of the year. Okay, so I'm just about ready to get started, and I will tell you, I am no master gardener, but I have been taking care of these roses for about 5 years now. So I kind of know a few things about taking care of them just by trial and error. So I've got a few supplies here ready to go, and that is, first of all, a long sleeve shirt, which I will put on before I get to trimming on these roses. Next up is some leather type gloves. So you need a good thick glove if you're going to tango with the roses over here. There are plenty of thorns to be had, and yes, there will be some pokes, but it'll all be worth it when the roses start to bloom again. And I also have a few different types of clippers and nippers and trimmers, and I just kind of use whichever one suits the branch that I'm on. I even have some loppers if I decide to take off a bigger branch that's on there, just to change the shape a little bit or improve the shape a little bit. Now what I did do, and I am not particularly careful about this in general, but I did clean the clippers first with some alcohol, and I cleaned off the blades really carefully so that they would be sanitized. I do not want to give these roses any kind of disease or fungus, because honestly they would be really hard to replace that in the spot that they're in. So there's 4 different rose bushes, and they're just knockout roses, so not hard to replace. Like, I can't find it, but just the size of them, the color of them, all that, I would like to just keep healthy plants here instead of giving them something that was maybe preventable. I also oil these up before I use them too, just to be careful with them. That's really the only precautions that I take. So I'm gonna get my gloves on, I'm gonna get my long sleeve shirt on for sure. Oh, I also have over here my little wagon that I can throw all of the branches into. I'm going to put a tarp on there, that way we can easily dump it out onto the burn pile once we're done with all this without having to touch all those thorny rose branches again. Okay, we're gonna get started here. You're gonna hear lots of animal noises because everybody's out and about today. Oh, one thing I want to do before we start on the roses is put the little turkeys out in a pen on the grass. So let's do that really quick, and then we're gonna glove up and suit up and all that and get started on the roses. that makes it much, much easier to clean out after it's full of thorny rose bushes. So let me just start by giving you a little bit more information about why I'm cutting my roses back in the fall. We have a very long growing season here in South Louisiana, and we still have plenty of time for these roses to have another flush of blooms. However, if you're somewhere cooler than my climate here, you more than likely wouldn't want to cut your roses back until after your first freeze, when the roses are dormant. Then the roses will be dormant and you can cut off all that old growth before you go through winter, and then they'll bloom once the spring comes. So as for me, I cut back these roses about Labor Day and Valentine's Day each year, and we still have lots of blooming season in between. So today I'm taking off about 1/3 of the total growth on the rose bushes, which is a lot less than I take off at the Valentine's Day pruning, because at that pruning the roses are dormant from the winter. So this Labor Day pruning is a lot lighter since the roses are still in an active growth phase. However, since it's been really, really hot, they're not growing much right now, but they still are in a growth phase rather than a dormant phase, so you do want to be careful about how much you prune off. Anything more than about 1/3 of the total plant could damage the roses, cause them to be stressed or weak, get fungus, or worse, die. I think I have successfully tamed these rose bushes. This is about as much as you want to cut them back. Now, they look rough right now. I know what you're saying. They are going to look sparse. They're going to look a little choppy, but just wait. They're going to have another flush of growth, which means lots of new green leaves on them and lots of new buds before the end of the year. So they will look beautiful again, and I will update you when they do. I'm going to continue on with the more of the lower level of the rose bushes, which is fertilizing and turning that mulch that's at the base of the rose bushes. So that's a really important step at this point too, because they do need some more food and everything to get them through the rest of the year to have another flush of growth. Now that they have been cut back, they're going to need some fertilizer, some nitrogen essentially, to have a little more vigor to keep on growing throughout the year here. Also, I want to turn this mulch that's at the base. You see right now it's got a lot of grass and leaves and everything that have fallen into it, so I want to turn it. That way I get it all turned over, it'll begin to compost. But first we'll put down the rose food and fertilizer. It's one that's specifically made for roses. I'll show you that in just a second. This is what I use. I use it about twice a year. So in the spring when I cut back, and in the fall again, I will feed the roses. And all I'm going to do is put about 1 cup of this per rose bush. Since I do have to turn this mulch today, I'm going to just sprinkle it on top of the mulch for now, and then I'll turn everything. And so if you're not turning the mulch, you'll just kind of make a well around the base of each rose, and you can put it straight in the well and then just kind of work it into that soil there and cover it back over with mulch. But since I'm going to be turning the mulch today, I'll just sprinkle it around, then turn the mulch and get everything cleaned up at the base, and it'll be good to go that way. This is stinky stuff, really, really smelly. So this is looking so much better. Got the fertilizer in there, toss the mulch around, and everything is looking a lot more refreshed. The edges definitely look better too. Tried to clean them up a bit, and all I'm going to do now is just put some water. That way that fertilizer doesn't burn anything up, and this project will be completely done. It looks so much better. Look at the giant pile of roses over there. Yeah, lots to go on the burn pile.